Okay, I did a little bit of work on my paper, so it'll look slightly different than yours. Also, it's a completely different team than yours, so you shouldn't have the same numbers. But this video is to talk about the box and whisker plots, how those work, how they get set up. It's not a ton of math. You might have to do a little bit of averaging, but even that shouldn't be too bad. What I did, and in order to do this, the first thing we're gonna need to do is list your numbers from least to greatest. So for example, for the passing yards, I took these 17 numbers and just labeled them 1, 2, 3, somewhere, 4, 5, all the way up to 17, with 1 being the smallest number I had and 17 being the biggest. I trust that you guys know how to do that without watching me do it. I wanted to speed up the video a little bit. What I then did on this page, and we'll get it nice and neat for you here, is I listed those numbers out in order from least to greatest, just like they were on that page. So we'll zoom in a little bit. Now, a box and whisker plot needs 5 pieces of data to work. It needs a minimum, which is our smallest number. That's pretty easy to find here. That's this right here. Minimum. It needs a maximum on the other end. Same thing, that's just your biggest number. We need a median, would be the next number that I find. Now that is the exact middle of your data set. And so starting on the ends, you just kind of work your way in one number at a time. Move in, 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 until we get our exact middle number. That is our median. Right? I always remember median sounds like middle. Now our first quartile and third quartile numbers are the most challenging to get, and they're not even that hard. The first quartile is like the median, so the middle of your smaller numbers. So everything below our median, you do not count the median on this. So from 181 to 313, we're gonna find the exact middle of this data. Now it happens to land right on 2 numbers, 226 and 228. To find the exact first quartile number, we're going to have to split the difference there and find the average, or the exact middle, of 226 and 228. Now since those are only one number apart, it's pretty easy to say, well, the middle of these two is 227. So I will write first quartile, maybe, first Q, and we'll make it 227. That pen was broken. The third quartile, we'll go do the same thing on the other side. So starting just above the median and going all the way to the max, we're gonna go in the middle, closer to the middle, closer to the middle. So these 2 numbers, whatever is exactly in the middle of those 2 numbers, is my third quartile number. Now, if they're a little bit more spaced out like this than 226 and 228 were, we will just find the average, which is, adding those 2 numbers together and then dividing by 2. So we'll go 331 plus 342 is 673, and then divide that by 2. So 336.5. For this, let's use whole numbers, so let's round that up. No, you know what? Let's leave it. 336.5. It's not that big of a deal to have a 0.5 in there. My minimum was 181. My median was 319. My maximum was 422. Now that I have those 5 numbers, I can set up my box and whisker plot. I need to draw a number line that has some sort of appropriate scale. So I notice I go from about 180 to 420. So I will go You know, maybe I say I go by 50s. You could go by 25s, you could go by whatever you want. I just know that if I went by something like 1s or 10s, I'd be drawing a lot of little hash marks here. So we're gonna start my number line at 150. It's gonna end at 450. That way, all of this data falls somewhere along this number line. We'll try to evenly space it. 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, right? All right, we've got our number line. Now, for each of these, I tried to point to it on my camera. For each of these numbers, we're gonna put a little line on our box and whisker plot, or on our number line. So my minimum 181 is about here. We'll put a line. My first quartile with the dead pen was somewhere in between 220 and 250. So we'll put it here. The median was 319. So we'll slide over past 300 to about here and put a line. The third quartile is 336.5, so still in this category, really close to our median. And then our max is out here at about 420. To finish off the box and whisker, to make it look like a box with whiskers, from the outside minimum, draw a line through the middle so that it lines up with your first quartile. And you'll do the same thing between the third quartile and the max. From your first quartile, from the top of that line you drew, dang it, connect the tops of your lines through the median and third quartile, first quartile to third quartile. And now you can see in the middle we've got a box, on the outside we've got whiskers, and our 5 pieces of data represent the 5 lines of this box and whisker. I will explain a little bit more kind of the interest of having a box and whisker plot in a separate video if you want to watch that.